Welcome back, my dudes. Today we're going to be checking out Morbid Metal. This is the demo that's currently live on Steam. This project started out as a solo dev project by Felix Schade, which I think I said that right. It's German, so forgive me if I pronounced it wrong. This did end up attracting Ubisoft as a publisher, so they backed the game, and he has since founded a studio called Screen Juice out in Cologne, Germany, and they are developing this indie action roguelike which has DNA from DMC and Warframe in it. You'll see exactly what I mean as soon as we get going. So here we have the hub world. This is where you'll be doing your permanent upgrades and stuff. So in the center there, that's where we can launch our runs or our iterations as they're referred to. Here's where we would pay for permanent upgrades from the Neural Nexus, Protocols, and Corpora. They are not available in the demo, as you'll see here. And then over here, we have a place where you can turn in any data you collected through your runs to unlock some little lore tidbits. Again, not available in the demo. And then there's this giant kind of empty arena space over here, which I think is going to be like a testing ground to try out all the different characters. I'm going to probably end up accidentally calling them frames at some point, but I think they're referred to as routines in this. And so the one you see now, this is Flux. Flux is kind of your samurai, high DPS, super fast attack character. So everybody has a 3 ability rotation. Flux has a blink on Q, a blade strike energy beam thing on E, and then the ulti on R, your ultimate ability, is going to be blade form, which is like single target, high DPS, will absolutely wreck anything. And then our second guy is Eku. This is our second character. Eku is a heavy, has heavy strikes, does a lot of stagger. The Q ability is a ground slam, which will launch enemies in the air for some stylish juggling. The E is a 360 sweeping attack, good for crowd clearing and crowd control. And then the R ability is another very heavy strike that charges up and allows Eku to kind of clear distance, dash across, and absolutely wreck somebody. And you can basically swap on the fly. So it's called shape shifting or form shifting, something like that. So I'll just go ahead and run an iteration. I'm so obsessed with the combat in this game, I've run through the demo 41 times, or this will be the 41st time. We're getting a little bit of a longer load for this, so I am hopeful that we'll get one of the combat challenge rooms that'll load in. The demo uses the same tile set, but it tries to make it a little different every time you go through. Sometimes you'll have shorter runs, sometimes you'll have longer runs, sometimes you'll get a challenge room, sometimes you won't. The challenge rooms just have things like, shift every 5 seconds, defeat the enemies in the time limit. There's one where you take like 1 pip of health every second, stuff like that. And we do have a perfect dodge here, which then allows us to trigger a parry for high damage and really rack up that score counter. So you saw in the upper right-hand corner there, we have a score counter kind of similar to Devil May Cry, even goes up to triple S rank. And then at the end of your iteration run, you will be given a rank as well. Depending on how good you do in the combat, you'll be awarded with more currency to spend. You can spend that currency to heal yourself at healing stations throughout if you come across one, or you can spend them back at the hub world for permanent upgrades. So these are our 3 routine upgrades we can get. I'm going to go with Rage in the Machine. I don't think we'll lose a lot of health, but just in case, it's nice to have a little bit of extra damage if we do take some beatings. But you can see pretty much immediately the Warframe comparisons and then the DMC combat ranking style system, which I've always really enjoyed. So I'll show off Eku's ult here. Here we go. So we get this nice cinematic camera. He's going to charge up his weapon and then BAM! And then I usually use Flux to take out these aerial guys because the blink strike is just so good for that. And then I'll show you Flux's ult here. Come on, get the bruiser. Let me see if I can pull this off. So if you shapeshift while they're attacking, it will trigger a perfect dodge and allow you to parry with the routine. I almost called it a frame. The routine that you swap to. So a very nice little mechanic. Dodging will basically cancel out any action you're in the middle of. So you do have animation canceling there. Let's go for damage orbs. Damage orbs are really good. So every basic attack we hit, we will get a damage orb. And it'll stack up to 3 times, giving us more damage. And these green crystals here, those are health pickups. And then these yellow crystals are your tokens or your currency. So definitely keep an eye out throughout the map. They are tucked away and can be hidden. And then in between the rooms, you'll also find some little off the beaten path things. Like up here, we've got some tokens. And it could be anything from tokens to life shards to like a chest with another upgrade in it or an upgrade cube. The chest will usually let you pick between a couple upgrades, and then the cubes will just give you 1 upgrade. Sometimes the chest only give you 1 too. You can see those damage orbs floating around me now. And then, yeah, that's what Eku's good for. He takes those big dudes out. Oh, that's one thing I wish they would work on and hope to see during the early access and full release is that the off-screen attack indicator is a little more obvious. Usually if I get hit, it's from an off-screen enemy. Not the best ranking there. I don't know if we're going to get triple S on this one. All right, let's look at what we got. We have Life Siphon. That one's been popping up a lot for us. Little Companion, which gives you a little drone buddy. And now a lot of these are stacking, so the damage or percentages will increase. For like Little Companion, you'll get more drones that will attack more often and do more damage. I'm going to take Life Siphon. Which actually, now that I think about it, is kind of counterintuitive to the other one we took. But that's fine. So here's one of those little side paths I was talking about. And so those are anchors that you'll use for parkouring around. If you go watch the recent trailers that have come out, you'll actually get to see there are some like platforming parkour challenges in between maps and stuff. And there's also a third routine they've revealed. It looks like a kind of fist fighting monk-inspired routine. And then you also get to take a look at one of the bosses, which is this like big gorilla mech. Okay, and so these are Devil's Bargains. If you're familiar with any sort of action roguelike, like Hades or anything along those lines, you'll be familiar with these. These are kind of like your monkey's paw situation, where it'll give you a pretty substantial buff, but also a pretty substantial downside. So let's see what we get here. Typically, I don't take these in the demo because they're really not that great. But for the sake of the video, we'll go ahead and check them out. So we have Bargain of Overclocking. All skill cooldowns are reduced, but your maximum health is also reduced. So we get a 50% reduction in cooldown, but 50% reduction at maximum health. That could actually be really good with the other damage buff we get for being at lower health. Plus, we're getting Life Siphon to kind of keep the health we do have. So that's actually not a bad option there for this run. Bargain of Might is the one I do take if I do take these, just because it seems very fair. I get 200% damage and enemies get 200% damage. And then Bargain of Precision, all attacks are critical strikes, yours and your enemies. Again, a very fair one as well. But I think for the sake of trying to put together some sort of build based on what we've gotten, I'm going to go with Bargain of Overclocking. So now we're capped at 125 health. And sometimes there will even be like, so this little thing right here, you can actually run up this. And sometimes there will be like a shard up here. Oh, look, there's one over there. So that's an issue I've had. Sometimes the aerial dash, it doesn't give you any more momentum. You can see I just kind of like dash in place. It's supposed to propel you forward, but it doesn't always work. Now I'm playing on mouse and keyboard, and I've actually really liked the mouse and keyboard controls, and so I'm aiming manually, but if you play on gamepad, you do have a lock-on system, which I would recommend using if you do play with a gamepad. And actually, typically, I would play a game like this with a gamepad. But the mouse and keyboard controls have been so great, I just haven't even bothered. I love the ability to just kind of whip my camera around, target something. It really keeps that frenetic speed and energy up from the combat system. The downside being I don't really use the lock-on, so sometimes I blink to something I don't mean to blink to, as you saw there. So yeah, we got a couple of these little guys kind of starting to get out of hand, which we don't want to allow happen. Because again, getting attacked off screen is something that can happen quite a bit. And we'll go ahead and just finish this guy off with our ulti here. Oh, I'm definitely, anytime charged up comes up, I grab it. Having multiple stacks of Flux's Blink Strike is so good. And it just makes you feel so fast and so powerful. Yeah. Okay, so that's the way we came. The symbols on the door will kind of tell you what's ahead. So this is actually a healing station or a chest. This should just give us something. Okay, so it's a healing station. So here we could spend any of our like little currency resources we've picked up to go ahead and heal ourselves, but we have as much health as we can have. So we'll just kind of move on from there. And then those yellow doors you see are kind of your normal path of progression. The challenge room doors will have 2 crossed katanas on them. And then once you get to the challenge combat room itself, you'll be alerted as to what your challenge is going to be. And so right there, I didn't shift to trigger the parry. I shifted after the parry had been triggered. So that's also something you can do as well if you want to get a certain parry. I screwed that up there. So Flux, their abilities kind of function the same regardless of whether or not you're in midair or not. But Eku's are a little different. So if I'm on the ground here, my Q is just going to do the smash, but if I'm in the air, it's more of like an uppercut. So either way, I'm doing some aerial juggling with the Q ability. It's just how that works will be a little different. So I can actually jump, go to an enemy, as long as I'm within range, and Eku has pretty long range with his weapon. I can trigger that uppercut and pull an enemy up into the air with me, switch to Flux, get some damage in, switch back to Eku, and then ground and pound them. I'll try and get some shift combos going as we progress through. Like I said, we'll probably run at least 2 iterations. So for this one, I'm going to go with Orbigeddon so we can get more orbs. Right, and then this is something you want to keep an eye out. You'll see these cracked walls. You can smash them with Eku. And then they'll usually lead you to some little trinkets, health, just whatever happens to be back there. It could be any number of things. Sometimes it'll just be tokens. Sometimes it'll be a chest with some upgrades. Sometimes it'll even be another devil's bargain.
Trust this is necessary. You will thank
Oh, we had a hit right there. And you can see anytime we get hit, it does impact our score overall. So you want to do your best to avoid damage if you're going for a big score. Now, getting your perfect dodges and landing those parries, that's what's going to get your score up the highest from what I've seen. And then also ensuring that you're shifting a lot and working in those combos, that'll crank that score up as well. I think because we're running with the lower health pool, we could go healing orbs, but I think I'm going to go with Death Harvest. So anything we kill with Flux's ultimate is going to yield some health for us. And again, all these are stackable if you get multiples. Oh, well, looks like we're done. So like with the blink charges, I've been able to get up to 5 stacked before. And so now that we're done, we'll go through this little loading screen, which for the next run, I'll probably cut the loading screen out so we can skip through it. But after this is done, it'll present us with our score, and then we can load right back to the hub world and jump in for another iteration. Oh, sweet, we got triple S, even with my screw-ups. All right, so we'll head back to the hub. I'll load up another iteration, and we'll see if we can get a challenge room to load in. Now, the game will be coming to early access on Steam. I don't know when the game will be coming to console. If it's coming to console, I'm not even really sure if the demo's on console. I'll take a look around and see what I can find out, and I'll leave something in the description if I do find anything. But it is currently on Steam. You can check the demo out now and go ahead and wishlist it for when early access does come. Wishlisting does help developers, especially indie devs like this. It gives them an idea of people who are interested. Because although they're being published by Ubisoft, it is still very much an indie project. All right, let's see what we got. I think I'm going to go with Fracturing Fissure. Upping your basic attack is always a good idea. Yeah, we'll go with Fracturing Fissure. Now, for a while, when I first started playing, Flux was my workhorse. I barely ever used Eku, but as I kind of started experimenting more with the shifting, man, I'm just all over the place. Because I really like Eku, it's just his attack pattern is a lot slower and can kind of throw me off a little bit, especially when I find myself in a groove. So, like, the challenge rooms, the challenge I have the most, like, trouble with is the one where they require you to switch every 5 seconds. Because sometimes I'll need to switch to Eku when I don't necessarily want Eku because I want to be able to, like, blink to somebody. See, that off-screen indicator is just not that great. All right, we still ended with a B. That's not too bad. Not too bad. I'm going to go with Kill Strike. So that's going to, whenever we kill something with our Q, it should help our cooldowns on the rest of our abilities, I believe. Now, with my playstyle, I tend to use the Q to actually close distance and initiate combat. I don't really use it for finishing enemies. But there is an upgrade you can get that actually boosts the damage of the Q, and it will one-shot the flyers. I'll take it. That felt really good. Okay, there we go. There's the blink amp. So that's going to work well with the one we just took. So now we should be able to actually get some kills with our Q, which is going to help with our cooldowns. And since we did take a few hits already, let's go ahead and grab this health pickup here. And we can see there's some tokens up there, but again, not really worried about picking up tokens in the demo. Really just here for the raw combat. And it's a very good looking game, honestly. Like, look at this vista. And I'm running on a mix of medium and high settings. But I was really impressed with how well optimized it is. All right, I got to try to remember. So, because we're coming at it from this way, because you'll see the same tiles, but sometimes you'll hit them from different directions. So because we're coming at it from this way, I have to remember that after we do this little combat arena, because we're going to fight up here, to go that way, because there should be a little thing off the beaten path over there. So like in this arena, we can actually knock enemies off the edge, but you will have some where there's an edge and you think you should be able to knock them off, but it'll actually put it in like a little wall, invisible wall up to prevent that from happening. Let's go with refreshing finisher, reduces all skills cooldown when you kill an enemy. Oh, just whenever you kill an enemy. Perfect. Okay. Ooh, or refresh rate. Reset Flux's blink strike cooldown when you use it to kill an enemy, and we've already got the damage boost on it. Yeah, let's do that. Because we're not getting the additional charges on our blink, we want to make sure the cooldown is coming off, because again, the blink I find to be very important for closing the distance on those ranged enemies. Unfortunately, nothing cool. Sometimes there's a chest down there, or it can be like a devil's bargain or something.
What are you capable of?
Now, one cool thing is like when I jump and then dash and I shift, it'll actually reset my dash cooldown so I can jump and dash again. So you can really clear some distance. I actually saw in the Discord somebody had recommended for the challenge arenas, maybe putting like the floor is lava kind of challenge in there, where you want to try and stay aerial as much as you can and not touch the ground because, you know, the floor is lava. So it's between boosting Echo's damage or Echo Strike damage for Echo. Man, Echo Strike. Okay. Or we can do Life Siphon or Death Harvest. So we have some healing. I'll just take the damage, honestly. I'm pretty confident in my abilities, so I don't think we'll need any healing. This is my like 40-second run, so I should be pretty good at this point. Okay, so we have a Devil's Bargain, and again, for the sake of the video, we'll take it. And we will go with Bargain of Might on this one. Okay, so this is a tile set I really hate. These laser grids. So luckily this one's pulsating, so it's not as bad. But the enemies really like to sit by the laser grid when they spawn in over there, which can be really annoying, because then you're kind of like forced to eat some damage to get to them, or just to sit back and wait for them to come to you, which will screw up your combo and your cooldown. So right there you saw I was able to actually perfect dodge the ranged attack from the aerial enemy, which then allowed me to use my parry on the enemies I was fighting on the ground. So that's a helpful little tool. So even though the ranged enemies can be annoying, you can use them to your advantage to help you kind of trigger your perfect dodges and get those parries out. Let's see. I think I'm just going to go with a stack of refreshing finisher. Nothing over here. But we have a cracked wall here that we can get through. Perfect. Okay, so this is one of the caches. This should have something useful. Ghost Absorption grants a damage boost when you kill an enemy based on a fraction of their maximum health. Not too shabby. So we will take that. Okay, so we came from up there, and then here's the combat challenge door. Hopefully you saw the 2 cross katanas. Now in the demo, anytime I found this combat challenge room, it's always the same tile set. It'll always look like this. You'll have this short run across these broken down bridges and then into this temple over here. And once we get into the temple where the combat arena is, it'll tell us what our challenge is. Crown of Thorns. Okay, so this is going to cause us to lose a health point every second, which will impact our combo, unfortunately. So we probably have a harder time getting our score up. So that aerial enemy I just killed, I don't know if you got a good look at it, I kind of killed him too fast. But those ones are slightly different. They're kind of disc-shaped, and they will actually send out a pulse. Like a ground pulse that you have to jump over and avoid. So this one kind of is weird. Hopefully they fix this, because we have an upgrade for the equipped routine, which is Eku, or we can receive a routine for Eku. So either way, we're upgrading Eku, it looks like. Oh no, it thinks I'm on Flux still. So I must have switched as that was popping up. Okay, so that's not too bad. It does seem to recognize which one you're on. I think we're going to take Blink Amp. Yeah. Oh, you know what? No, I'm realizing now. Okay, so the upgrades are called routines. Your characters, I'm not forms, I guess. Not sure what those are called. So the routines are just the upgrades. So I understand now. So I got an upgrade for one of my already existing routines that I've picked up. And then the other option was to get one specifically for Eku, which would have upgraded one of his abilities, most likely. And here I was thinking the characters themselves were called routines, but it's just the upgrades are the routines. Alright, let's see if I got that triple S. I believe completing the challenge rooms does also heavily contribute to your overall iteration score at the end. So hopefully with us completing that challenge, I should be in the triple S realm. Although our rank at the end of that... Oh no! Well anyways guys, that's the demo. Check out Morbid Metal now on Steam. Download the demo. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the game if you've tried it out. I don't know if there's going to be another playtest coming, but feel free to join the Morbid Metal Discord. They usually put information on the playtests up there, but I think the game is planning on releasing in early access sometime in early 2026. Not 100% sure. But as I learn more, I will definitely update you guys, so keep an eye out for more Morbid Metal videos as new stuff comes out. And remember to like the video if you liked the video, dislike it if you didn't, and subscribe either way. Doing all that YouTube jazz helps me out greatly, and I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope to see you guys on the next one, and as always, have a cool, rooney rest of your day. Peace.
Kudos.